ننتقل الآن إلى الجزئية الثالثة. بيحكينا في هاي الجزئية 1 to define the polar coordinates polar coordinate system as a two-dimensional coordinate system such that a point on a plane is defined by its distance r from the origin and the angle theta measured. 2. Express the Cartesian coordinates x, y in terms of the polar coordinates r and theta and vice versa. 3. Convert polar coordinates to Cartesian coordinates and vice versa. Well, this is mentioned in the student's book in figures 9.3 and 9.4, and also example 9.1 is solved in the book. طبعا في عنا pages 255, 256 and also 256. طيب الآن أول جزئية إحنا لازم نتذكرها بأنه if we have a point and let's say that this point is in the Cartesian coordinate system. This is the point P. So this point P will have two components, the x component and the y component. الآن in order to convert these components into polar coordinate system, what does that mean? That means we can draw a vector that starts from the origin, which is the 0, 0, and goes to the point. This vector is called r. طبعا this r makes an angle phi or theta from the positive x-axis. Our goal to see how we can find r and theta given the fact that we have x and y. Or if we have r and theta, how can we find x and y? So vice versa. Right. Now if we go down, أولاً هاي القواعد اللي احنا راح نستخدمها بأنه if we convert from Cartesian coordinate system to polar coordinate system, then r is equal to the square root of x squared plus y squared, and theta is equal to tan inverse y over x. Now if we want to convert from polar to Cartesian, then x is equal to r cosine theta and y is equal to r sine theta. Right. Now this table is only used if we have to find theta. Then in this case we will have to do a correction. What does that mean? We will take inshallah an example to see how we do the correction. نأخذ مع بعض السؤال الأول أو فعليا هو السؤال العاشر. A point has a value of 6 and pi over 6. شوفوا الآن لما يذكر لي في الامتحان هذا الشكل بالعادة شو القصد في ذلك؟ بأنه هاي R and this is theta for sure. لكن theta in what? It's not in degrees, it's usually if it's in pi's, so this is in radians. هو الأصح والأدق يكتب pi over 6 راد. لأنه إذا كانت بالديجري مثلا بالعادة بتكون أرقام مثلا 20 30 40 and so on. فبالتالي الآن شو راح نعمل؟ بحكينا بأنه this is the point in the polar coordinate system. What is the value in the Cartesian coordinate system? إذا we want to convert from polar to Cartesian. طيب we should know that x is equal to r cosine theta and y is equal to r sine theta. نعوض مع بعض. X in this case is equal to R, which is 6 multiplied by cosine الزاوية الآن as is pi over 6. طيب شو بالنسبة للواي؟ الواي برضو 6 ضرب ساين، الآن نكتب برضو pi over 6. الآن وين بخربط الطلاب؟ عفوا 6. طيب الآن وين بخربط الطلاب؟ بغلط في الامتحان وبنسى يحول، كونه معطينا الزاويه بالراديان بنسى يحول الكالكوليتر لراديانز، بخليها بالديجري ويطلع مع الجواب غلط. وبالعاده بيكون حاط لك الاجوبه بالخيارات عشان تغلط، فبالتالي احنا لازم نعرف كيف نستخدم الكالكوليتر في هاي الحاله. شو راح نعمل؟ الان بالنسبه لطريقه التعويض، اول شيء بنحول الكالكوليتر لراديانز، نضغط شيفت مود بنحول لراديان اللي هي 4. أصبحت عندي الآن الكالكوليتر في الراديان، بعدين بشتغل طبيعي. بحكي بأنه الإكس يساوي 6 تايمز كوساين باي أوفر 6. عندي الجواب 5.2 تقريبا، إذا 5.2. طيب what about the other one? We will say, or we will do the same thing. We will say 6 sine pi over 6. يطلع عندي الجواب 3. فبالتالي we have 5.2, 3. let's write it down. This is equal to 5.2 and this is equal to 3. So which answer should we choose? Of course we will choose D. The answer is D. جميل. Let's go to question 11. It's the same idea. We will do the exact same things. We will say that we want to convert from polar coordinates to Cartesian coordinate system. So we'll say that x is equal to r cosine theta and y is also equal to r sine theta. عوض مع بعض. x is equal to 8 في cosine 4 pi over 3 and y is equal to 8 في sine 4 pi over 3. When we will do the exact same thing, we make sure that the calculator is in radians, then we substitute y لأنه لما يذكر لي الزاوية بصيغة الباي هي المقصود فيها بأنه بالراديانس وليس بالديجريز. طيب متى بعرف أنه بالديجريز؟ إما بكتب لي أرقام 20 30 45 90 degrees and so on. وبالأخص بكتب لي اللي هو الديجري بتكون عبارة عن دائرة to the power دائرة بتكون عندنا في الأعلى. فبعرف بأنه هاي بالديجريز. Otherwise it's in radians. طيب بنفس الطريقة you will say 8 cosine 4 pi على 3 طلع الجواب -4. This is for the first one. The second one we will say 8 في sine 4 pi over 3 which is also -6.92. Then based on that we will choose C. Let's write it down. أولا we choose C because the answers were for the first one -4 and for the second one is -6.93. هذا بالنسبة للسؤال رقم 11. طيب نيجي الآن إلى سؤال رقم 12. Here we have to convert from Cartesian coordinate system to the polar coordinate system. Now we are given the 2 points. We have -3.5 and -2.5 as shown in the figure. Find the polar coordinates of this point. جميل جدا. الآن عشان نحول من xy إلى r theta we will do the following. We will say that r is equal to the square root of. الآن هون معظم الطلاب بيغلط. شو بيعمل؟ لما يعوض بالكالكوليتر بنسى يحط أقواس لل-3.5 plus -2.5 سكوير. إذا ما حطينا طبعا اللي هو الأقواس بطلع عندك ايرور. ليش؟ لأنه في عندك أولويات في الكالكوليتر، راح ياخذ الأس بعدين ناخذ ايش؟ النيجاتيف، فبيطلع عندك ايرور لأنه بيطلع الجواب فعليا نيجاتيف عندنا under the square root which is incorrect. فبالتالي شو لازم نعمل؟ بس لما تحل بالنسبة لآر شيل الماينس كأنها مش موجودة أو حط أقواس. الأفضل إنك بس شيل الماينس تحكي إنه 3.5 plus 2.5. طبعا once we do this is equal to 4.3 and of course the units is in meters so we will say this is in meters. Now how to find theta? Here's the trick. Theta is equal to tan inverse y over x. نعوض مع بعض. Theta is equal to tan inverse of. Now y is given as -2.5 and x is -3.5. الآن if we use the calculator let's see what we get. أولاً the first thing we do go back to degrees. Then we say tan inverse of. I'll substitute the sign. طبعا حتى لو ما عوضنا الساين هو بيطلع صح الجواب. ليش؟ لأنه نيجاتيف بتروح مع النيجاتيف. لكن anyway always substitute. So we say 2.5 على -3.5. طيب. So the answer is you have to convert to degrees 3. Again. So we will say tan inverse -2.5 على -3.5. So the answer is 35.53. I'll write it down. And this is 35.53. and indeed you can find the answer there and it's completely incorrect. ليش؟ لأنه إذا رجعنا للتيبل فوق كنا الآن في التيبل we have to do a correction for the angle if the point is located in the third quadrant. طيب كيف أعرف بأنها بالثيرد quadrant؟ عندنا مقدار الواي والإكس كلاهما بالنيجاتيف، فبالتالي if the x component and the y components both are negative that means the point is located in at the third quadrant. فبالتالي if the point is in the third quadrant the answer you get in the calculator is between 0 and 90. Actually that's what we found, which is 35 between 0 and 90. Now this is incorrect. We have to do a correction. How? By adding 180 to the answer. فبالتالي after correction we will do the following. We just add 180 to get 200 or 15.54. And of course this is in degrees. طبعا بما انه in degrees كل الاجابات اصلا عندي بالدegrees. I have to make sure that the calculator is in degrees. فبالتالي we choose in this case the answer is A. جميل. Now let's go to question 13. In how many degrees correspond to a radian? الآن في هاي الحالة طبعا we will do a small conversion. Now how to convert from 1 radian to degrees. This is unknown. طبعا the value of the degrees will be unknown. In this case we have to multiply by 180 divided by pi. If we do that we will get the answer of 57.3 degrees. So بالتالي راح يكون عندي الجواب A. جميل. ننتقل الآن إلى الجزئية الرابعة راح تكون عندنا إن شاء الله في ال MCQs. حكينا بأنه relate the arc length S to the radius R of the circular path and the angle theta measured in radians. طبعا هاي هي العلاقة. شو ال S؟ عبارة عن ال arc length، هو عبارة عن إيش؟ linear displacement فعليا، هي linear displacement. Theta or theta is basically the angular displacement. The distance between the first vector and the second vector, R1 and R2, both are the radius of the circular path or the radii of the circular path. طيب والR هو عبارة عن شو؟ عبارة عن radius of the circular path. طيب let's take question 14 and see how we can use this equation. لما حكينا بأنه a bicycle travels 141 meters along a circular track of radius 30 meters. What is the angular displacement in radians of the bicycle from its starting position? طيب أولاً since we have this value in meters that means this is the linear displacement. And also we have the radius of this circular path. فبالتالي we will say S is equal to R times theta. Now S in this case is the same as delta X which is the linear displacement. يعني فعليا احنا في هذا القانون we can write it as delta X is equal to R delta theta which is the same exact thing. Now we substitute the values. 141 is equal to 30 multiplied by theta. Once we do the shift solve we will get that theta is equal to 4.7 radians. فبالتالي we choose D. And the answer is 4.7 radians. ننتقل الآن إلى السؤال 15. This is a solved problem في الكتاب. بيحكينا في هذا السؤال the track on the compact disc shown in the figure. The track is a spiral originating at an inner radius of R1 equals to 25 millimeters and terminating at an outer radius of R2 equals to 58 millimeters. The spacing between the successive loops of the track is a constant. Delta R is equal to 1.6 micrometers. What is the total length of this track? طبعا هذا السؤال حليناه مسبقا. راح نحله مرة ثانية. To find the total length of the track which is L, it's equal to the number of turns that we can draw on the disc multiplied by the average circumference of this circular track which is basically C bar. Now how can we find C bar? C bar is the average circumference for the average or taking the average radius. and we can draw a radius فعليا. Let's use this arrow from this point originating from the center of rotation to this point. طيب, let's use the yellow and make it thick just to make it visible. So basically this represents what? Represents course اللي هو عبارة عن ايش؟ Let's choose this. Okay. So this is R bar. Now C bar is equal to what? It's equal to 2 pi times R bar. How can we find R bar? We will see in a moment. What about N? N, on the other hand, is equal to how many circles or turns that we can draw on this circular track or this CD. هي عبارة عن شو؟ عبارة عن R2 minus R1 divided by delta R. Right. Let's find N to start with. N in this case is equal to, and then R2 is given as 58 millimeters. Now, if we substitute it, we have to convert from millimeters to meters. So what do we get? We get 58 times 10 to the power negative 3 minus R1 is given as 25 millimeters converted to meters. So we get 25 times 10 to the power negative 3. Now this is divided by delta R. The delta R is the distance between, the successive distance between the two turns basically, or two consecutive turns. فبالتالي it's given as 1.6 micrometers. فبالتالي we have to convert from micrometers to meters, which is basically 1.6 times 10 to the power negative 6. If we use the calculator, we will get 20,625 turns. Right. Then, if we go back to R bar, let's see how we can find R bar. R bar in this case is equal to, which is basically the average radius of this circular track, which is R1, R2 plus R1, or it's the same thing, divided by 2. Now, if we substitute it طبعا in millimeters, that's fine. Let's say, for example, let's substitute it in the millimeters. In that case, we will get R bar in millimeters also. So we say 58 plus 25 divided by 2. Now this will give you 41.5. ولاحظوا بيطلع عندي millimeters. Now to find C bar, it's equal to 2 pi times R bar, which is 41.5. Now we convert to meters. For sure we have to. 10 to the power negative 3. In this case بيعطينا طبعا 0.26. طيب. Then we have now what? We have C bar and we have N. So we can find L. In this case, let's use the blue color. In this case, we will say that L is equal to N times C bar. So L basically is equal to 20,625 multiplied by C bar, which is 0.26. And the answer is, in this case, is equal to 5,378 meters. طبعا this is equivalent to almost of 5.4 kilometers. جميل جدا. ننتقل الآن إلى السؤال السادس عشر. حكينا بأنه a child riding on a large merry-go-round travels a distance of 3,000 meters in a circle of diameter 40 meters. The total angle through which she revolves is, إذن again معطينا اللي هو travels a distance, فبالتالي this is a displacement, linear displacement. And in this case we can use also S equals to R times theta. ليش؟ طالب لنا total angle through which she revolves. معناته we have to find the angular displacement اللي هو عبارة عن theta. We have the radius of this circular track and we have S basically, so we can substitute directly in this equation. لكن لازم ننتبه بأنه هو معطينا الديامتر. So in this case we have to find the radius. R is equal to 4 شو اللي هي عبارة عن 40 divided by 2 which is 20 meters. طيب now we substitute the values. We say 3000 تساوي 20 meters multiplied by theta, and we do shift solve or divide 3000 by 20. We'll get theta is equal to 150 radians. So the answer is C. ننتقل إلى السؤال السابع عشر. حكينا بأنه an object rotates along a circular path with a constant speed to complete 2 revolutions in 20 seconds. So it completes 2 revolutions, دورتين في 20 ثانية. يعني كل دورة بتحتاج 10 ثواني. طيب if the radius of this circular path is known to be 10 centimeters, find the length of the path covered by the object. الآن we also use the same equation. S is equal to R times theta. Now we want to find the length of the path covered. يعني we want to find the linear displacement اللي عبارة عن ايش؟ عبارة عن الارc length أو S. فبالتالي S is the unknown which is equal to the radius of the circular track given as 10 centimeters. Remember to convert from centimeters to meters. You multiply by 10 to the power negative 2. So this is equal to, either we say 10 times 10 to the power negative 2 or it's basically 0.1 multiplied by هو الانجل هو بيحكي لنا 2 revolutions, so it completes 2 revolutions. Now we have to convert from 2 revolutions to the angle in radians. ليش؟ لأنه هذا القانون إجباراً لازم تكون عندنا ثيتا بالراديانز. رجاءً ذكروا هاي المعلومة بأنه الثيتا has to be in radians. فبالتالي when we say 2 revolutions, that means the angle in radians is equal to the number of revolutions multiplied by 2 pi, which is basically 4 pi. Now we go back here and we substitute 4 pi. So S is equal to 0.1 multiplied by 4 pi, and the answer is 1.26. So based on that we choose C. سؤال رقم 18. A drone flies along a circular path and completes 3 revolutions in 15 minutes. If the length of the path covered by the drone is 1.5 kilometers, what is the diameter of the circular path? نطالب من الآن diameter. So again we use the same equation. S equals R times theta. Now the S or the linear displacement is given in kilometers, so we have to convert to meters. How? By multiplying by 1000. So this is 1500 meters. So S is equal to 1500 meters equals. Now R is unknown. We want to find the diameter. So first of all we find R, then we multiply it by 2. Here it says also 3 revolutions. That means delta theta or theta is equal to 3 times 2 pi, which is equal to 6 pi radians. إذا again تذكروا دائما في هاي المعادلة لازم تكون عندنا الثيتا بالراديانز, otherwise بيطلع لنا الجواب غلط. So we say 6 pi, then we do shift solve. This case طبعا I think the answer will be around 159, so it's almost equal to عفوا it will be around 79 something. So let's say R is equal to 79, I guess 0.6. Now we found R. How can we find the diameter? Because we want to find the diameter. In this case, diameter is equal to 2R, which is equal to 2 times 79.6. So D is almost equal to 160 meters. So based on that, we choose B. لاحظوا كيف الآن معظم الطلاب في كثير طلاب بيغلطوا في إنهم بيختاروا A لأنه بيطلع الراديوس بيطلع معاه الجواب موجود عندنا في الإجابات, بنسى إنه لازم نطلع الديامتر. طيب هيك احنا بنكون خلصنا هاي الجزئية. الآن ننتقل إلى الجزئية الخامسة.